Hello and welcome to the last of our 4 programmes featuring Club 100's race day coverage from round 5 of our Heavyweight Sprints Championship in the lovely sunshine of Dorset in June at the Pigeon Karting Circuit. 2015 so far, with the exception of Red Lodge, has been a story of domination by Jonathan Elliott. After 6 wins in the first 8 championship scoring finals in the first 4 rounds of the season. And while the title is out of reach for many and probably everyone by the time we get to late in mid-September, the fierce battle for the top 5 looks set to run to the final round at Bookmore Park in November, with Darrell Lowe in second through to Eric Mignon in 8th place, covered by less than 50 points. Now we're on to the Pre-A final where the fun really begins. Jonathan Elliott, championship leader, in pole position, ahead of Alex Fell, Eric Mignon and Julian Clist on row 2, Darrell Lowe and Roger Davis on row 3. Josh Pettit and Martin Gurnett on row 4, Mike Townley and Stephen Docker round out the top 10. Remember, this is the top 20 qualifying on time, plus the 4 from the Pre-B final. So the pace card has been trying to slow this field down, keeping a nice order. Pace passes to Jonathan Elliott, Union flag at the ready and we're racing, and Jonathan's got the whole shot into turn 1. Everybody's right foot right up to the throttle stop, flat out past the pits, up the hill and into Billy's blind, then setting up for the right-hander at turn 2. And it looks as though Clist had got a move in there on Alex Fell for second place. Has he got it done? Yes, he has. He wants to stay on the bumper of Jonathan Elliott, who's got a kart length or 2 out of the S's. And you can see how busy it is, filtering through there, down at the hairpin. Stephen Docker to the inside of Roger Davis. Has he got it done? Well, yes, he has, but so has Martin Gurnett, and Josh Pettit has done the pair of them, I think. Gurnett round the outside of Docker. That's not going to work. Davis is going to go through. Docker says, come on, we've got to work together here or we're going to get left behind, and then puts Davis on the grass. On board with Mike Townley. Can he get through? The long drag up to the finish line. And Gurnett is heading this pack in 7th place. Townley to the inside of, who's that? Docker, I think. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. Oh, Chris Murray went quite deep into the S's there. He'll be slowed down to the hairpin. And it looks as though John Folds was setting him up. Couldn't get through though. 2, 3, 4 wide. Some of the qualifiers from the Pre-B final you recognise: Simon Lloyd, Ben Cottle, Nick Bredner sorting out Daniel French. Gurnett looks to be setting up Tim Hill for a pass down at turn 2, and look, we're already on to lap 3, and Julian Clist has made it to the bumper of Jonathan Elliott. And is he going to look to the inside? It yes is. That's not a passing spot. Not like that. Look at the kart control from Jonathan Elliott. Yes, Julian, I think you better wave him back through for fear of picking up a penalty, and Alex Fell's going to punish you as well, and so's Eric Mignon if he can tip in around the outside of the horseshoe. Whoa, Clist got awfully close to taking out Alex Fell there, and it looks as though Darrell Lowe's got through. And I'm not sure what the hand gesture is from Eric, but I suspect it's, so thanks a lot, Julian. Josh Pettit goes through to demote Julian to 6th place. Sweeping through now. I wonder if Julian's effort there was the one big punt not to give Jonathan Elliott a chance to get away. I suspect that's probably the thinking. Get in, get ahead, try and keep him behind, bring the rest of that leading group into play. Someone's clipped that corn. Could have been Townley. Down the inside, and Clist goes in deep and hard on Josh Pettit. Has the inside for the horseshoe, and he can begin again to work his way through this pack if they'll allow him to. Pettit's not finished. Looks to the inside in the last corner. That's a good move, but it makes him slow off the corner. And on the long drag to the finish line, Julian Clist is back in 5th place, and the pair of them have lost ground on the 4 karts ahead of them. Mignon moving back onto the bumper of Darrell Lowe, who looked in down at the horseshoe. Field streaming through. Looked as though Martin Gurnett was setting up Mike Townley for 8th place, so that's fairly frantic still at the back. Townley had to go narrow to hold off Gurnett there at the hairpin. Stuart Kirk on the back bumper of Ben Daly, looking for a way by. We're always on the lookout for action, and it seems to be kicking off back here. Simon Lloyd, Ben Cottle, 36 is Alistair Mason, right in the fight there with Dan French. Your race leader, looking comfortable, it has to be said. And remember, these fast lap times will set the grid for the main trophy final, so keep an eye on them. As the times come down, the grid will continue to change. I sometimes wish I could show you a graphic of the grid changing as the final goes on. Unfortunately, the technology is not at my disposal. Christopher Murray, Martin Gurnitz fighting hard with Stephen Docker. And that is over, what's that? That looks about 9th place. Back on board with Julian Clist. Closing in on Eric Mignon, it has to be said. Mignon's looking round the outside of Darrell Lowe. Lowe's covering off by going half a car width narrow. And it is enough to hold the position, but they're losing ground on Alex Fell, and Jonathan Elliott is stretching Alex at the lead. Roger Davis through on Stephen Docker for 11th place. John Foles looking to the inside of Ben Daly, can't get it done. James Hattersley having a quiet final. So it's a 3. Let's include Josh Pettit. It's a 4-way dice here for 3rd place in the pre-final. Mignon looks again, keeping his powder dry, looking for a mistake from Darrell Lowe. I haven't seen one. Into the S's. Bouncing across the curves. Could be a chance for somebody down here. Here comes Julian to the inside. Can he keep it tight to the apex? Yes, he can. There's Eric behind him. So Clist moves into 4th place. Next target, Darrell Lowe. But look at the ground that this group has lost. Jonathan Elliott has 2 seconds on this group. Clist looks to the outside of Billy's Blind, not there. I'm guessing we can say Darrell Lowe's cart's got a good motor. Mike Townley hanging on to 8th place. I don't think I'm being unkind when I say that. Martin Gurnett wants to be by. So Darrell appears to be a bit slow out of the hairpin, setting up Julian Clist for the horseshoe, but he's on the wrong side. Right, left, then left again. Not much braking here. You're trying to set up the kart for a good run out the corner, and Julian's got a good one. Around the outside of Billy's Blind, it's got to be on this time. Now, how deep will this pair go? They've got to turn sometime. It could open up for Eric Mignon. It has to a degree. He is back in 4th place. And now Darrell Lowe is demoted to 5th. There's Josh Pettit. He's been dropped. Tim Hill coming across. This could be a 5-way fight for 3rd. Although Julian Clist has got a bit of a break now. As Eric Mignon struggles to get off the hairpin. With the attentions of Darrell Lowe, a shake of the head from Eric. His line's all wrong out of that right-hander. Or certainly into that right-hander. And Josh Pettit and Tim Hill are back in play. A 4-way fight for 4th place. And I think Hill's setting up Pettit for turn 2. Turn in, over the curb. 3 wide and Darrell Lowe gets pushed out. Down to the hairpin, and Darrell still chuntering to himself. Pushes Tim Hill out. A bit of a love tap. Bit of bump and run. Not strictly fair. And we're coming round to start lap 12. Chris Murray in 11th place. Stephen Docker behind him. John Foles in kart 37 in the red. Ben Daly just a couple of kart lengths behind them. So Tim Hill closing in once again on Josh Pettit. Can he find a way by? Narrow a line out of turn 2. Puts him on the bumper out of the S's. Is there a punt going on down at the hairpin? And Darrell Lowe now, was he pushed out wide? That seems to be the gesture. But it's invited in Mike Townley, and he is through. So Townley picks up a spot. And he's going straight through Darrell Lowe. I think he caught him by surprise there. And Tim Hill's got ahead of Josh Pettit ahead. So it's all change down at the bottom of the top 10. And look at the gap now. It's 2.4 seconds. Jonathan Elliott's lead over Alex Fell. And in fact, Julian Clist is running down Alex in fairly short order. Just half a second shy now. So I think we might have a fight on for the lower steps of this pre-A final podium if there were one. Then Daly side by side with Lenny Wood and James Hattersley. Down at the hairpin, Simon Lloyd's in the mix as well. Sticks his nose in, picks up one spot. We're going to get past Ben Daly in car 12. And cut back to Chris Murray. John Folds. And Michael Ballinger. Car 38 having a quiet final so far. Eric Mignon has caught up with Julian Clist all of a sudden. And he goes back through to third place, so it's all change all over the field in this second half of the pre-A final. Clist goes back through, goes a long way in, has to turn and square off the corner, makes him slow, but fast enough to get into the left-hander of the horseshoe. Closing stages. Jonathan Elliott's lead is 2.48 seconds on Alex Fell. Back on board with Mike Townley. Getting in the slipstream, picking up the toe from Josh Pettit to turn 2. The corner came too soon to put a move in. Martin Gurnett now on the bumper of Darrell Lowe as he was before. Did he push him out there again? No, I think that was fair. He's going to go around the outside. You saw him take a look, kind of turning over the top. Stuart Kirk in the mix as well. Stuart will be leading super heavyweight. Clay Pigeon, probably a track that doesn't affect the heavier drivers quite as much as some of the slow ones with the tight hairpins. Not really a slow corner on this circuit, even the hairpins banked. Whoa, run out wide, Dan French looking to stay on the track there. Who was that with? Ben Daly, I think. So 3 laps from the finish. Let's reset the field then. Jonathan Elliott's lead, 2.8 seconds now over Alex Fell, who's got 0.3 of a second advantage on Julian Clist. Half a second back from there, Eric Mignon. 3 seconds back then in 5th place is Tim Hill. So that's as far as Tim's going to get, I think. At least not without penalties. Darrell Lowe and Stuart Kirk fighting hard over 9th and 10th places. Martin Gurnett up the road in 8th, trying to run down Mike Townley and Josh Pettit before the finish. Here is Pettit on the bumper of Tim Hill. Townley just a couple of car lengths off, looking to pick up the pieces. Back to Gurnett. Oh, side by side, Kirk and Lowe. Darrell seemingly struggling, I think, with his entry to the S's. Seems to be picking up all his trouble there. So, on board with Clist, looking at the back of Alex Fell, as we have been for a few laps now. Eric Mignon at arm's length, your race leader, heading for what looks as though it's going to be yet another win for Jonathan Elliott. Down the inside from a long way back for Clist. Can he get it turned? Well, yes he can, but not fast enough to stop Alex Fell going back through to second place. Is the time for Julian Clist to have one more punt at this one. I think that was his big shot at second place, and it missed. Back on board with Lowe. Stuart Kirk looks as though he's going to hold him off the finish. Final corner for Jonathan Elliott. What's that? I do believe that's win number 7 of the season in the A finals from Jonathan Elliott by a shade under 3 seconds from Alex Fell, who's just about holding off Julian Clist to the line. Eric Mignon in 4th. Tim Hill is a further couple of seconds back. And after that, the finishing order is radically changed by a number of penalties. Mike Townley in 6th. Stuart Kirk is leading super heavyweight in 7th. Well, the eagle-eyed amongst you, if you've been paying attention in the pre-A final, will have noticed that Jonathan Elliott set a number of fastest laps, and that once again gives him pole position for this main Trophy A final. Eric Mignon on the front row, Julian Clist, Stephen Docker on row 2, Chris Murray excluded from the pre-A final, but his lap times still count, on row 3 with Simon Lloyd, Daniel French and Stuart Kirk on row 4, Martin Gurnett and Tim Hill round out the top 10. 24 from the pre-A final, plus 2 qualifying from the B final, 26 on the grid. And can any of them stop Jonathan Elliott making this 8 A-final wins out of 10. Well, we're under starters' orders. Pace car pulls off. Pace control passes to Jonathan Elliott, who drops the hammer now with the Union flag. He's going to get that whole shot. Everybody wants to be on his bumper. Eric Mignon, I think, is going to have it as they race past the pits for the first time. Across the finish line, under Robo Mick, and out the other side. And it is indeed Elliott ahead of Eric Mignon. Oh, and there's contact in the midfield. And I think Josh Pettit's A-final has just been ruined in the space of a couple of 100 yards. Cones going everywhere. But it's Mignon clear in second place, with Julian Clist in third. Down in the midfield, Kart 63, Ben Cottle. He was in the pre-B final. He's made it all the way to the Trophy A. Roger Davis gets his wheels inside of Alex Fell. Not entirely sure that's entirely fair. Darrell Lowe's gone through. On board here with Cottle, that's James Hattersley. Just gives him a nice helpful punt. Perhaps he should have pulled out and passed. I would have. So Julian Clist out of turn 2 as Jonathan Elliott exits the S's. A long crocodile, and I think Martin Gurnett made a mess of that S. So he's now under pressure here from Mike Townley down the inside on the brakes. Going a long way in. I hope he can manage to square it off on the exit. He can't. He loses out to both Tim Hill and the recovering Martin Gurnett. With the right-hander, we're rounding out lap 2. And Jonathan Elliott's already got 3/10 of a second on Eric Mignon. And 7/10 of a second on Julian Clist. Josh Pettit lets the field go through. Even he's realised his final's well and truly ruined. Stuart Kirk is well up in 8th place behind Dan French. So we've got Elliott away at the front, and then we've got a line of what looks like 6 or 7 karts all the way down to Stuart Kirk. Tim Hill trying to get on that group. Has to put a move in early and hard on Martin Gurnett. Back on board with Darrell Lowe, looking to the inside of Mike Townley, moves him out of the way. Not entirely sure if that's fair. Tim Hill's gone back through on Gurnett, and the lane is opening up for Darrell Lowe, and towing with him Alex Fell. I'm not sure that Michael Ballinger as well. Stephen Docker bouncing the curbs to get past Julian Clist. Can't get it done. Behind, boom, Lenny Wood and Ben Daly have gone in heavily into the tyres off turn 2. They're perfectly fine. It has unfortunately brought down a bit of the tannoy. On board once again with Ben Cottle, looking at the back of James Hattersley. Ooh. Bit of contact, shake of the head. Yeah, I think so. Coming round to finish lap 4. Jonathan Elliott's lead is now out to a second on Eric Mignon. Clist is doing his best to hold off Stephen Docker. Handshake, everybody's happy-ish. Barrier seems to be intact. Racing continues, and we do indeed have the top 8 away at the front. Tim Hill's trying to detach Martin Gurnett, who's staying limpet like on his bumper, looking for a way by. Oh, and something's gone wrong with Tim Hill's car. His engine's died off the hairpin. So Docker leading out Julian Clist in what is the fight for 3rd place now. Still a yellow flag out at turn 2 for the Lenny Wood, Ben Daly incident. Tim Hill heading for the pits and retirement. Racing recommences. Lenny Wood's restarted right in front of race leader Jonathan Elliott. Needs to get out the way. Seems to be doing it pretty much. Hill on his way back to the pits. And a chance now for Eric Mignon to close in. I think this has really worked out quite well for Eric. Elliott has lifted, and I don't really think Eric Mignon has. I think he's kept his foot well in, and we've got a race on for the lead. Oh, we're not complaining. We start lap 7, and Eric Mignon took the best part of half a second out of Jonathan Elliott on that last lap. Out of the S's, Elliott takes a look over his shoulder. Conscious Mignon's now there. Wood waving through Julian Clist in 4th place. Ahead of Chris Murray, who comes out side by side with him. Simon Lloyd in the mix, Dan French, Stuart Kerr, Gap to Martin Gurnett now, on his own, clear of Darrell Lowe. Daniel French had a very quiet pre-A final. Looking to get up and towards the podium if he can. Barrier repair still going on. Ben Daly still hasn't got his car out of the tyres yet. And it looks as though Darrell Lowe's closed in on Martin Gurnett up the inside. He's about halfway through. Gurnett takes to what you could consider the escape road. Keeps his foot in, keeps his spot. Narrow up the hairpin. Alex Fell in the mix with Mike Townley. Chris Murray runs a little bit wide off the horseshoe, and Dan French is through to 6th place. Back on board with Townley. Oh, you can't really stick your nose in there, although he has. He's going to try again. Ooh, yes, he is. I can't imagine Alex to be too pleased with that one. Gives him a stare. Now a drag race up to the finish line. Through the left-hander of Billy's blind, and Mike Townley's going to get that spot, but how deep is Mike Townley going to go? Is there a crisscross on? Yes, there is, for Alex Fell from behind. And Roger Davis has been pulled into the dice as well, and Michael Ballinger is closing in. I think if he gets the chance. Cottle under pressure from Folds. I think that's Nick Bredner on our outside. Yes, it is. Back on board with John Muscroft, winner of the B final, trying to make some progress, not making a great deal. Probably won't thank me for saying that, but it's true. Only got as far as 20th, and we have had a retirement or two. So Darrell Lowe, Alex Fell, and once again Martin Gurnett takes his own route through the S's. Determined to turn in, and when the cart's there, in his way, he's taken to the escape road to keep the spot. Onus, of course, on the cut behind to pass cleanly, so you can argue that one either way. And coming round to finish lap 10, race leader Jonathan Elliott is at 0.6 of a second again. He's edging clear of Eric Mignon. Stephen Docker is pretty much on his bumper. They exit the S's. Gap then to Julian Clist, Simon Lloyd, Daniel French, Chris Murray, and Stuart Kirk being included in this group as well. French down the inside of Simon Lloyd. He picks up 5th place. Oh, more contact from Mike Townley on Alex Fell. They must be getting a little bit tired of the attentions of Mike. Dan French, Simon Lloyd spent most of the pre-A final running at the back of the field, getting a fast time, I guess, because they're now running in 5th and 6th place. Up front, we've almost got a fight on here, a 3-way battle. I'm probably stretching that a little. Jonathan Elliott, Eric Mignon and Stephen Docker are within a second of each other. As we move into the final third of this A final, John Muscroft has finally got past James Hattersley and moves into the top 20 in 19th place. So Mike Townley looking for a way past Alex Fell once again in their personal dice. Over, what's that, 11th place? So Clist coming through in 4th. Now coming under pressure from Daniel French. A little bit of a lock-up, just dragging the brake into turn 2. And French is looking to the inside, can't get it done in the S's. That will put Simon Lloyd on his bumper. And Stuart Kirk is right there as well. Julian Clist once again dragging the brake into the hairpin. To the inside, French sticks his nose in, can't get it done. Runs out wide out the horseshoe, and it's game on for Simon Lloyd. We'll want to get a good exit out of this last corner for the run to the line in turn 2. Is it on for Simon Lloyd? Well, look at that. Dan French is getting run down the inside of Billy's blind before the corner. Got a great run there. Did Clist make a mistake? Well, he's made another one there, and Simon Lloyd has gone through, and Stuart Kirk will try as well if he gets the chance. Clist goes deep into the S's. Will Kirk strike down at the hairpin? He pulls out from behind, down the inside, pod to pod, bit of contact. Clist gives him room to get the inside for the horseshoe. Chris Murray changes lane, tries to do the pair of them. Looks as though he's done Stuart Kirk, but Kirk comes back at him into the right-hander across the start line, and we move on to another lap. Lap 15 of 18. And Eric Mignon's got him pegged at half a second. Can he close in? Stephen Docker is a further second behind. Battle for 10th place, Martin Gurnett, Alex Fell, Mike Townley. Turn in. Oh, Gurnett runs wide. And Fell is through. And Townley's going to stick his nose in again. This time, Martin Gurnett takes the corner. Possibly because Nicky Richardson is actually stood in his lane down at the inside of the second part of that corner on the grass. I'm probably doing Martin a disservice. I do apologise. So, on to lap 16. And Eric Mignon is actually closing in just a fraction on Jonathan Elliott. We may have a dice for the lead here. It's 0.45 of a second. But I have to say, Jonathan Elliott looks as though he's in control. They're beginning to drop though. Stephen Docker, he's now down 2 seconds off the lead. Lost 3/10 on that last lap. I think he's comfortably clear. Yes, he is. Over 2 seconds clear of Daniel French in 4th place. Coming around to start the penultimate lap. Has Eric Mignon got anything in the tank left for Jonathan Elliott? And can he deploy it and get close enough to put a move in? We all are a little bit sceptical, but I'm sure Eric's doing his best for Belgium. Looking at his first podium. Stuart Kirk coming through in 8th place. Side by side, Alistair Mason. And we're on board with Ben Cottle into turn 2. Well, Mason turned in. I don't think you can really blame Ben Cottle there for the contact. Although he has slowed down to let Alistair back through. Roger Davis inside of John Falls with a shake of the head. Nick Bredner up to 14th place. Final lap board is out, and look at that, Eric Mignon's actually in the slipstream now, 0.3 of a second down. Only a few corners left. Oh, I think Jonathan Elliott's teasing him, you know. Down to the hairpin, over the hump, onto the brakes, turn in. Misses his apex by about 3 or 4 inches. Doesn't really matter. Through the horseshoe, 2 corners to go. Can't make a mistake from here, surely. Light brake, turn in, feed the throttle in. Eric Mignon's going to come up short. It'll be his first podium, but it's win number 8 for Jonathan Elliott. Ahead of Eric Mignon, Stephen Docker comes through in 3rd place. Dan French and Simon Lloyd round out the top 5. Stuart Kirk is once again leading super heavyweight in 8th place.
3rd place today goes to driver 32, Stephen Docker. And our runner-up then, well done, driver number 8, Eric Mignon. Well done, Eric. Our man from Belgique. And race winner then, Cart. He's certainly one to catch this year. He's won here again, round 5 here at Clay Pigeon in the heavyweight class. Well done, your winner, driver number 51, Jonathan Elliott. Well done, guys, well done. Another ripple of applause, please, for our top 3 heavyweights. Okay, remains for me to say...